Mr. felt like a million years long somehow. It was the oddest sensation. I don't know how they did that. That's not a cool trick.
No.
That's not a skill. That's not a skill you want to write down on your resume. I would keep that one off.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Danielle.
And I'm Dell.
And this is the Black Catch-Up, where we're catching up on iconic black media we missed out on in our more conservative religious childhood.
Alright, so today we had Django Unchained.
Yes, we did. This is an exciting one. And it's also on the more recent side of stuff that we do, because it was 2012. So that's actually almost 10 years ago. Or like maybe 10 years ago. Because this will have come out in 2022. So that's 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So, as always, I am DB. With the help of a German bounty hunter, a freed slave sets out to rescue his wife from a brutal plantation owner in Mississippi.
Okay. All right, as usual, start off with the positives.
Yes. So I could start off this time. One of the first scenes that I really specifically said that I liked was the shootout after Schultz bought Broomhilda. He because Candy, the plantation owner played by Leonardo DiCaprio, he was like upset that he was losing his slave and Schultz was essentially going to free Broomhilda. So he was like, the deal's not done until I shake your hand, because that's a thing in the South. And Schultz shoots him, and then this massive shootout starts, and it was amazing. It was amazing. On a side note, I loved the gratuitous violence. This was a bloody movie, and it was great. And I made sure to note that, because as I was reading the Wikipedia on it, there was apparently controversy on how bloody it was, how many times the N-word was said, and stuff like that. And people saying, I can't even quite remember what the huge it was just a big thing about it, because apparently it was you use the N-word so many times, and it's it's a slave movie? What are you talking about? You seriously think this is too many times to have said the N-word in a movie with plantation owners and slavery? That's my personal opinion. But there was also people saying that what was it? Oh, controversy. Someone said it was a heavy usage of that word. Some people also said that the gratuitous violence was too much. I personally didn't think so. Didn't think it was too much either, just because I think we've talked about this before, you and me, that the depiction of slavery in America is probably 10 gazillion times worse than it's depicted in history books. So, there's no, especially if you think about how black people are treated now, there's no way that slavery is, as nice as you guys are, is, less bloody than you guys are thinking. There's no way in hell. I don't get that. But, there was controversy surrounding, the violence and the use of the N-word, but I was no. The violence, almost too little. I'm kidding. It wasn't too little. I just liked it a lot.
Yeah. No, I agree. Actually, I like the rough nature of the film too, and I actually thought all the shootouts were done very well.
They were all spectacular.
I really that first shootout, the first one where he first pulls up and frees them and quickly kills the two slave owners and is all right, if I were y'all, I'd kill that guy and just take his horse and run off.
Yeah.
So I thought all of it was done very well, especially the violence, but Yeah, I also thought it had a good balance between the violence, the drama, and still having those funny, more lighthearted moments too.
Yeah, it was kind of, to me it was more of a darker comedy, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah. But I a couple scenes, I know I really like the Jonah Hill scene, that's where they all have the hoods on and they're
yes,
I
put that down too.
It was that scene, and then Samuel L. Jackson. I thought his character was just funny, when he first comes to the house. So but that combined with those scenes where he's talking about the slave skull, that those kind of intense dramatic scenes. So
the tension in that scene was brilliant. The tension in that scene, like, was amazing. When Candy first finds out via Steven that they had plans to buy Broomhilda the entire time, and that's why they were there. Like, just the tension in that scene. And I knew of this scene before I saw the movie, just because there was, like, that famous, like, movie trivia that Leonardo DiCaprio, like, genuinely hurt his hand during that scene and, like, smeared the blood on Kerry Washington, and they just, like, kept that in the movie. I don't think that he smeared his real blood on her. He did not smear his real blood on her. They, like, they kept with the theme of it, but he wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna, like, infect you with my actual blood. Like, no. But I knew of that scene, so to see the context and just, like, the tension that built up, that was so good. That was so good. It could be my turn.
Yeah, I think it's your turn.
Yeah. Speaking of the tension, I just really liked, it's weird to say, but I liked how Candy's character was. Just that unhinged and, like, vicious and brutal person. He was the perfect villain for this, just because he was, like, the right amount of charming, but also, like, out of his fucking mind. He was unhinged. It was so great. Like, he had that nice little... He was, like, the perfect amount of unhinged that you, like, couldn't tell what he was gonna do next. And that's, like, one of the most dangerous people to be around. Because he, like, has a thing for violence. He, like, hosts slave fights in his home. And, like, bets on them, I'm assuming? I didn't see money exchanges, but it seems like he's betting on them. I mean, he, like, buys slaves specifically for this purpose and, like, wants them to kill each other in front of him, basically. And, like, you have that guy and you don't know what he's gonna do. And it was amazing to see. Like, everyone in this movie was so good, but just, like, Candy was the perfect, like, sadistic villain. Like, that's how you do a villain.
Yeah. And I guess speaking of, like, sadistic, I thought, like, Django got very kind of unhinged himself, too. And it led to, like, a lot of good moments. Like, that first scene where I guess maybe, like, his first bounty hunting scene where they actually find the Brittle brothers. Yeah. That was, like, the first group he was trying to kill. And he ends up, like, whipping the one dude and for like a full, like, minute before he ends up shooting him. Like, just kind of, like, getting, like, those moments. Like,
and even in the end...
There were some great characters.
And even in the end when he, like... sets the whole place on fire and blows it up and, like, make sure to take out all like of the first, and he keeps Steven for last, who was, like, I guess he was sort of seen as, because he was the, like, traitor to, like, the other slaves for, like, just cozying up to the white man so hard. And, like, he was like, oh, you said you've seen people killed so many ways here? Have you seen anyone kneecapped? And he, like, saves the last of the slaves and is like, okay, guys, you can go. You're right here, right next to your master. Yeah. Bye-bye. So great.
Let's see. I guess the last thing I had was just kind of like the soundtrack, and I thought there were a lot of, like, good cinematic shots.
Yeah, that's what I have too.
Yeah, I just think we kind of mentioned it for several. There's been a lot of movies we've mentioned this for, but this is another one to kind of add to the list of just being, like, beautifully shot and, like, very just cinematic and a very good soundtrack as well. The
music went really well with all those shots, and it all just, like, felt really, like, beautiful in a way. A lot of the whenever there was, like, a lot of blood, a lot of times it was on a white surface that you were seeing, especially in the beginning when he was, like, practicing in the snow. That was, like, a good juxtaposition. Even the costuming when when you first see him on his, like, first bounty, I think he's in, like, this royal blue like outfit, and that was another critique that people had, that the costuming wasn't, like, completely accurate, but it was like, dude, that's not... I don't think this movie is, like, trying to be, like, 12 Years a Slave accurate. It's trying to be, like... It was almost like a revenge fantasy western.
Yeah.
That's what it seemed like to me. So it kind of was, like, amping up the separation between the black slaves who were, like, house slaves and the black slaves who were, like, field slaves. It was, like, amping up that contrast by putting the black slaves in the house in, like, more fantastical, like, fancier costumes than they definitely would have worn. But it was just, like, it was mostly revenge fantasy to me, so I didn't think that, like, I wasn't, like, here for the historically accurate everything, and it's like, we can only have but so many 12 Years a Slaves, guys. Like, I don't want a million 12 Years a Slave. And that was actually surprising to me. I had heard of this movie, of course. I didn't know it would be... I thought it'd be more slavey, and it wasn't. And that actually made me happy.
Yeah, not at all, really. Yeah. Okay, I guess are we on to negatives now?
Yes, negatives.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'll kick it off because we talked about like the cinematic part just now.
Yeah.
I thought that it got a little bloated at times, just
Oh
like
my God.
seeing the scenes like dragging on too long, or just like extra scenes we didn't really need to stretch out for a long time. Like the two examples I had, it felt like every time they went somewhere new, we had like a 5-minute montage of just like horses walking. And then it seemed like every time you like entered a room, we got like a nice slow pan of the room, which like yes, that's good for setting up the shot, but we can't have this every time in this like damn near 3-hour movie, you know? So like I just thought it got like a little bloated. There were like probably some other things I didn't write down, but just it just felt like it got like slow and bloated at times, you know? And it's a very interesting story, but it got a little slow at times.
That's my basic that's like my one critique of this movie, that it was so long and like it got bloated. Like even the scene with the masked men on horses, that was funny, but like that went on a long time too. Like I enjoyed it, of course, but it went on a long time, and there were a lot of flashbacks of Broomhilda being tortured when she was with Django, but like we actually didn't need all of them. I feel as though you could have used one. Honestly, you could have used none. But if you had to, you could have used one, and we would have got it. We would have understood. Like, it's slavery. I think most people have a basis of slavery. Like, none of the school system has anything to say about it. But, like, we have a basic understanding of slavery and how, like, fucked up it was. We don't need to, like, keep flashing back every time. I did like the touch of him like seeing her in fields and stuff like that as a mirage. I did like that. But but still, and the thing that gets me about this is I kind of don't know where to cut, cuz I'm like a lot of stuff, cuz like most of the times in these like really long bloated movies, I can like easily see this is exactly where you should have cut. You should have cut this out, da 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 da. But this one, it almost was like every scene was serving a purpose and it was serving the story. So it's kind of hard to be like, and I would have cut this part out and this part out and this part out. Because even when I was thinking, I was like, this movie could have started a bit later so that like we didn't get as much backstory. But I'm like, but what backstory would I want to cut out? You know? Mm-hmm. That was the hard part.
I actually definitely agree with that, because like I didn't really have any specific things to cut out either. Aside from, again, like I thought there was a little too much like cuts of like walking, but it just like I don't know, it just felt like a little, like almost sluggish, you know? Because again, like yes, the scenes were all necessary and they all like I thought added to the story, and like you know if you're paying attention, like even that scene that didn't seem like it had anything, like there was probably some small detail in there, but again, it's like we're almost at 3 hours, like it's like move it along a little bit faster, maybe. I don't know, you know, but it just felt a little sluggish to me.
That's why it was hard for me to write more things about it, because I'm like, I know you could cut things, but I'm trying to think of like specifically what can you cut.
Yeah.
Because normally when we do this part, I have like a list. I'm like, and you can cut out this scene and this scene and this scene. Mm-hmm. This person didn't need to be here, da 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 da. But like every time I like started to think about a person or a scene I could cut, I was like, no, that actually served the story pretty well. But it's just like, come on, guys. Almost 3 hours.
Yeah. Okay. Did you have anything else?
No. Did you have anything else?
I had like a really small nitpick.
Go for it.
Django being like automatically good at shooting guns. Like I think the first time he's handed the rifle, he like snipes someone off a horse running full speed.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
That just like rubbed me the wrong way a little. I don't know. Like, I just feel like he shouldn't have been a good shot. Like give us a training montage maybe, or I feel like they even had the training montage.
But I think it was after that.
Yeah, exactly. That was the problem. I thought like if you're gonna show the training montage, don't have him already be a good shot, you know. Yeah. But that was a nitpick though. It didn't bother me that much. But yeah, I guess ready for ratings?
Yes. I could.
You want to kick this one off?
Yeah, I'll start this one off. I gave this one a 3.5. On a different day, it could also probably be a 4. Just depends on how I'm feeling. I just actually enjoyed this so much. When I first saw the runtime and like the fact that it was going to be a slave movie, I was like, oh no, please don't give me like, I don't want to do like a 12 Years a Slave. But it was not it was not too slavey, which is another critique I've seen on this movie, that it seemed like not a lot of the slaves wanted to be freed in the movie, but it's like, come on guys, it's not their story. Like,
yeah, that's not what the movie's about.
Yeah, it's not about
you know?
it's not about the slaves and what they want to do. And who knows, they could have had like a million escape attempts, and this is just where we are now. Like, you're worried about how the slaves are acting. Like, you didn't care when they were enslaved back in the day. So like, whatever.
Yeah.
But it wasn't too slavey. I loved the gratuitous violence and all the blood and guts and everything. It was well shot. The music was working really well. There was a lot of good tension when we got to Candyland. I just thought it was really good, and I wanted it to be shorter.
Yeah, yeah. No, I gave this one a 4. I actually did give this one the 4, and yeah, same reason. Like, I just had a lot of fun with this one.
Yeah.
Again, like, the acting's great. Like, it's a beautiful movie to watch. Like, the score is beautiful. And again, like, they did the violence in such a fun way, I thought. You know, like, I don't think there was a single scene of them, like, collecting their bounty that wasn't, like, really engaging. You know,
Yeah.
like, from the first one to, like, him just, like, shooting the sheriff as soon as he comes there and then, like, hiding out and, like, just talking to people, like, trying to talk his way out of it to, like, the final scenes of them, like, just shooting up the whole thing and, like, blowing up the big house. So, yeah, I thought it was, like, just a really fun, like, Western. And like you said, it's not, like, bogging you down with like slavery throughout the whole movie. Like, that is just the setting, you know. It's not the main plot point, you know. So yeah, I actually had a good time with this.
It was a nice little revenge fantasy.
Yeah. Final question: Do you wish you saw this one sooner? Yeah. Confession: I have seen this one already, so yeah. Like, by default, it's yes for me. Yeah, I've seen this one like a couple of maybe a few years after it came out, and I will say I'm definitely glad I saw this one again, because I definitely missed a lot the first time, because I was a lot younger the first time watching it, so definitely like very glad I saw this one again.
Yeah. Oh, you mentioned being younger. Oh, I forget that if I would have seen this sooner, I would have been younger. Huh. I'm still gonna say yes, because I honestly wish I saw this sooner. It was really, really fun, really violent. I keep saying that, and I sound like a psycho, but I just liked how violent it was. Like, truly and sincerely, I loved it. And just, I'm kind of mad at myself for putting this off because of my preconceived notions of, like, once you hear it's about an escaped slave going to, like, save his woman, you kind of think it's going to be super duper slavey, but it isn't. I should have known it's Quentin Tarantino. But
yeah,
it was really good. It was really good.
Yeah, all right. So that was Django Unchained.
Yeah.
YouTube housekeeping, like, comment, subscribe.
Ring the bell for notifications. If you have any movie suggestions, you can leave them for us in the comments down below. We do movies on Tuesdays and Fridays. All of our socials will be linked in the description box down below, and we'll see you next time to catch up. Bye.
Yeah. It's like time flies when you're having fun, but like it doesn't need to be 3 hours.
Yeah.
Because I did Django and Mr. Pete back to back, starting with Django, so like Mr. Pete felt really long. Like, it felt really long because I just finished like 3 hours of Django. It's like, again, not a bad movie. Like, it was a good movie, a fun 3 hours. But then you get to this one and it's like, I gotta go an hour 48 and I can't make it, you know?